name is Clement Pepe. I'm a success coach. This presentation is about consensus reality. And consensus reality, I'll go into the definition of that first. But first, I want to, again, remind you how to listen to these talks and anything that you're really wanting to learn something out of, whether it be me or anyone else that you're listening to. Listen from a place of possibility. Go out, try it on, see if it fits, work for a while. Give it a shot. Don't just come and hear something and then go, oh, that was nice, or that was fun, or that was interesting. You know, that and 75 cents, you can go buy a cup of coffee. That's about what it's worth. Or $5 now in these more money mocha places. But when you're really going to get the value is when you put it into practice. So do that with all of what you hear that is useful for you out there in the world. And consensus reality, basically, in the subtitle of all this is dancing to your own drummer in times of good or in times of bad, or perceived times of good or perceived times of bad. That's interesting, and we'll get into that a little bit before as we go along. First off, though, let's define what we're going to talk about. I don't want to just say a word and then have the definition be different for you than it is for me. Then we're not going to really communicate as effectively. So, and we'll get into that, by the way. That's another whole conversation to talk about, especially in relationship to relationships. But we won't talk about that today. We're going to talk about consensus reality. Now, consensus reality is basically when a bunch of people come together and decide something, then whether that something is true or not, if these people have decided it's true, it then becomes true. And then they're really out collecting more and more evidence to support that truth. And so when we talk about consensus reality, that's what we're talking about. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be true, but once it's decided by a number of people, then it becomes true in our own minds, etc. So right now, we're in a situation that has created a like mind, if you will, consensus reality. And that conversation is called COVID-19. And that, per se, is, no, by the way, I have no clue what that means. I don't even know where the word coronavirus came from. I'm sure it didn't come out of corona, but whatever those mean, that's what we're using as our consensus reality conversation going forward. And so a lot of times, once we've created a consensus reality, we're finding, like I said, evidence to support it. Now, you want to find the best evidence to support a consensus reality? You need to, excuse me, man. This didn't work. Okay. The guy speaks, can't speak. Oh, excuse me. It's funny. Stay with me. I'll get past this. Do you ever get a real dry throat? Well, that's what I have right now. So, stay with me. And just going to do a little something here with a cough drop. Get lubricated. It's funny. So, we were on, excuse me, consensus reality. Go past all this. When you're live, you just keep going. I used to love to watch those live TV broadcasts back in the 50s and so, because whatever went on, they had to keep the program going. So it's kind of interesting to watch, and it's like, yeah, we can make up something about it, but we just got to keep going. So, and I'm stalling right now to get a little bit more lubrication in my throat here, so I can move forward. But the consensus reality that we're experiencing, again, right now, is being kind of propelled, if you will, through the news. I mean, the news has been feeding this and feeding this and feeding this. And some people are spending a lot of time watching the news. And if we're learning anything, it's this process. And we should be, by the way. And I don't know how many people I've talked to or listened to or heard speak about this, people who are in the know, people that are understand the psychology of human beings or whatever. They are saying more and more and more. Stay away from the news as much as you can. Because, again, it's probably about 95% negative when you go onto the news. And when we're listening to 95% negative and we're feeding it into our minds, we're going to create more of that evidence out there in the world. And in the consensus reality, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a truth, but it becomes now our truth. Now, I'm not saying there's not something going on out there. I'm not saying that there's not an epidemic or pandemic or whatever it's called. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is when we're putting this consensus reality together in our own minds, a lot of times what we're doing is creating made up stuff in some cases. And once we create those made up stuff, it doesn't give us much power in relationship to the things that we're making it up. And so, and like I say, and I say making it up because once we start shifting our reality, even though everyone else may be going in that direction, we decide to go in a different direction. Now that possibly could change something in not only within us, but in the people that we're with. I'll give you an example of a consensus reality that was going on probably since I think it was 1886 or something when they started tracking times for runners. And what they found was that when a person ran a mile, and this is how they were basically, and these are track stars, etc. When they were checking the mile records and whatnot, they found that no one had ever run the mile in less than 4 minutes. In fact, they thought it was impossible. They thought the heart would blow up, or there was no way that anyone was going to get that kind of stamina, etc. And so that went untouched, that record of running a mile in less than 4 minutes in a sanctioned race where it was actually timed and verified. But in 1954, a runner named Roger Bannister broke the 4 minute mile. He trained for it. He made things happen. He got into a race and he just got under running the mile in less than 4 minutes, which was phenomenal. I mean, no one thought it would be done. It was the reality or the consensus reality that said no one can run a mile in less than 4 minutes. And so, but what Roger Bannister, I think it was 1954, he did that. Now, that's a feat in itself. But the most interesting thing about this story is that just about 6 weeks later, someone else ran the mile in less than 4 minutes. And within a year, there was one race where 3 people in the race ran the mile in less than 4 minutes. Now, if you don't run a mile in less than 4 minutes today, you better stay away from track, or you're going to get beat all the time. But what happened was, until Roger Bannister broke that record, it was a consensus reality. Say, no, that can't be him. It's not possible. But now all of a sudden, he did it. Now another reality started to take, hey, this could be done. Like, we can create this and so on. So all of a sudden now, people were running the mile in less than 4 minutes. So the moral of that story is that the realities that are out there don't have to be our realities. Even though it's a consensus reality, meaning a lot of people have it, it doesn't have to be ours if we choose it not to be. I was thinking this the other day, is that, 40 or 50 years is going to go by. And the kids that are in elementary school, we'll say, will be studying probably in history this pandemic, that probably show up somewhere in the history books. And I could see a history teacher saying to the students, okay, so they had this situation going on. There was a pandemic. People were told to stay in their homes. They couldn't go. They had to stay 6 feet away from people. They had to do all these things. And they had a tremendous shortage of something. A tremendous shortage of something. And the question to you kids in the class are, what do you think that something was that they had a tremendous shortage of? And the kid may once say, well, gasoline? No, not gasoline. Medication? No, not medication. I'm going to tell you because you probably won't ever guess it. It was toilet paper. Toilet paper? Get out of here. Toilet, come on. Yeah, no, toilet paper. Yeah, that's what was the shortage. That's where you went into a store, you got up to a shelf, used to be full of toilet paper. It was flat empty. Flat empty. And somewhere along the line, the consensus reality, and this started early on in our what is it now, 2-3 months that we've been in this process, but that started really early on. One day I went to the store. In fact, it was funny. My wife was saying, hey, there's going to be a shortage of toilet paper. No, come on. I was just there. There was a ton of it there. Oh, okay, good. The next time I went, not a one. And then I went to another store, not a one. Then another store, not a one. All of a sudden, it was empty. Somewhere along the line, there was a consensus reality said, you better store up toilet paper. And for whatever reason, I'm still not sure how much toilet paper stops this disease. But again, that became a consensus reality for us. And then we all of a sudden became having to live into that based on what it was that was going on. So it's the same for any other consensus reality. So the key to all of why I'm having this conversation today is that we've got to start creating a new reality for ourselves. And again, it's not like this isn't going on, because it is. But we need to make up a story that creates us to be more in our power. Because a lot of times when we get into, especially if it's a negative consensus reality, we start to bring ourselves down. We start to feel negative, be negative, and we start to all of a sudden not be as effective as we need to be. And then the universe doesn't serve up to us what we want. It's serving up to us what we don't want sometimes. So we need to create a new story. And by the way, you can't go from, let's say, 0 to 100 in your car overnight. You got to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so some of the stories that we make up, we're not going to go from, let's say, to totally negative to totally positive. We're going to have to take it in steps. So the first step would be, hey, I'm going to get success out of this situation. I'm going to be successful in my business. I'm going to be successful in my relationships. I'm going to be successful in mastering some of the things I need to master that I didn't know I needed to master. Some of the electronic stuff that we're doing now, and some of the social media stuff that we may be doing, and all the other things that are going to help us toward our goals, our dreams, our aspirations. So we get to have a new conversation. Kind of like, I don't know what's going on with those people out there, but I'm choosing not to participate in that conversation. I'm choosing to participate in a conversation that empowers me, brings me up, gets me creative, gets me down, taking me away from my creativity, my activity, and so on. And by the way, this takes some work, because you're going to see a lot of other evidences out there that are showing you something completely different. It's showing you, hey, you should be this way, because look what's going on, or you should be that way. No, I choose not to participate in that dialogue. I choose to participate in the dialogue that takes me away from feeling down and brings me up. And again, that's a conversation that we get to continuously have and continuously have and continuously have. And so even though that consensus reality was going on, we're now going to get into a new consensus reality. Said, yeah, we're getting through this. We're making this happen. We're having success out of what's going on. We're going to create good health. We're going to create a good way of being, creating closeness, getting together with family in ways that we can do it, whether it be over the videos or be over the phone. We're going to win out of this situation, as opposed to the opposite of winning, which is losing. And again, it's what we participate in. So I choose not to participate in the pandemic conversation. I choose to participate in a solution conversation. And then all of a sudden, we'll start adding people to our consensus reality in that realm. And now we'll start bringing up the consensus reality to something that is more empowering than some of the conversations that are going on there. And again, it's just changing our thoughts. And our thoughts, the interesting thing about it, create our beliefs. And a thought is nothing more than, or a belief is nothing more than a thought we keep on thinking. So we have to start thinking new thoughts to create new beliefs. And when we create these new beliefs, we'll start adding people to that level. Now we're creating a conversation that's empowering in our country and in our world, rather than sometimes that conversation that's disempowering or bringing us down. So you get to make that decision where you're going to put your attention. Again, the consensus reality right now is there is a shift. I see. I mean, people are talking about going back out there, going, etc. So there is a shift, but there's still that we get to make our decision on how we're going to make this all happen for us, if you will. And again, I'm not an expert in this disease or what's going on with it or what to do or what not to do, other than what I'm being told: the 6 feet, the mask, the gloves, wash the hands, etc., etc. So I don't know anything different than that. So I've been doing that and will continue to do that. But again, I want to do that from a higher level, you see. And because we do it from a higher level, our chances of getting this disease are better than if we're coming out there in a lower level. The great writer, Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. He wrote that book after being a captive in the concentration camps in Germany during the war. He was there for a long, long time. And he wrote that book based on what he saw going on in the prison camps. Because even though there were a lot of people that were killed in those prison camps, there were a lot that didn't get killed and ended up getting out of there after the war, etc. And what Viktor Frankl said in part of his book that he wrote is that what he saw was that the people who didn't make it out of those camps were the people that really kind of like gave in to it, where it's like, oh, there's no hope, there's nothing I can do, etc., etc. Those people were really, didn't make it. The people he said that did, though, were the people that said, hey, I've got a purpose for living. I want to get out of here. I want to make sure this doesn't happen ever again. I have my family I want to get to. I have my grandchildren, my children, etc. And he said those people were the people who survived. And what was the difference? Is their conversation that they were having about the situation. The situation was going on. It was not, he wasn't saying that the situation wasn't going on. But what was happening was their conversation about it was making them stronger. And the ones that got out, the other conversations, the ones that didn't, were making them weaker or not as empowered, if you will. And again, it's the same with what's going on right now. We got to keep ourselves up. And however you get to do that, the best way I know is just keep telling yourself, I'm going to make this happen. Don't know what it's going to look like. I want to be successful out of this. I'm going to make things happen in my life that I'm going to grow so much out of this that when I finish it at the end of it, whenever the end will be of this particular phase of what we're going through, that I'm going to be stronger with it. I'm going to be more closer to this. I'm going to have that. I'm going to create this. I'm going to generate that, and keep speaking ourselves into that, and then taking action on that speaking in regards to getting it. And you find that this situation that's going on will be leaving you up rather than this situation that's going on that's leaving you down. And again, it takes work to do that. I'm not saying it does, go do that. Yeah, you're healed. Don't ever have a negative thought again, or don't ever get into consensus reality again. it takes work. But again, the work is worth it because we have to start. It has to start first thing in the morning. When we get out of bed, we have to get up with an enthusiastic conversation within ourselves. I'm going to make this a great day. It's going to be a fantastic day. Two ways to get up in the morning. You can say, good morning, God. Or you can get up and say, good God, it's morning. The only thing that is morning. So we need to bring ourselves up. And you'll know how you're doing by how you feel. So keep your conversations up, keep them empowered, and you watch what your day will be like. It'll be magnificent. It'll be miraculous. So go out, practice this. Make sure that you are in the consensus reality of your own mind that says, yeah, I'm making this situation be better for me than worse for me. Now, again, these are some of the things that I teach my clients in my coaching practice. Again, power technology has been around since 1992. The first client came to us in 1992. And we've been coaching individuals, companies, etc. And we've been helping them more teaching, if you will, teaching how to get the best out of themselves. And that's where my clients have been so successful over the many years that I've been coaching. And we offer free consultation and self-analysis where a person can get to really check in and see what's working and what's not working. Now, the website is up on the description page of this talk that we're doing here. And then also, too, as I mentioned, I've been now training coaches and teaching them and certifying them so that they can be life coaches, success coaches, business coaches, whatever what they want to call themselves, really. And I've got my clients are generating students are generating clients now for themselves. And each time I get a text, oh, I just signed another client, And so you're going to learn from me what it's been that I've been doing over 28 plus years. And that's called PTCoachingAcademy.com. So go there, check it out, and so on. So also, too, if you see value in what we've talked about there and you think other people should learn about this, go ahead and share it on your feed. Let's get it out to as many people as we possibly can. You know, if there's one little segment of what someone can get out of this, then we want to let it. So just hit the share button and then just send it out to your feed. This way it gets out to so many more people. And if you have some comments, you want to make some comments or let me know a little bit about something or some topics you'd like to hear about or some comments about this topic, go ahead and write comments down here. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and click the like button. I think that's all those facets of the Facebook Live that we have. It's like, comments, and share, I think. And like I said, if you see, or for yourself or someone you may know that could possibly use this work that I do over this last 28 plus years, then let me know about them and them about me too, because that's really where this work gets more out there, because people get to see and learn what they don't know. And if you don't know something. Where are you going to look for it? So share that, let them know about it. I really appreciate that. And again, in closing, let's say this. This is going on. We're not debating it. There's a pandemic going on. It's been going on for a while. We're not debating it. We are, though, debating how we're going to relate to it. That's what we're talking about here. How do we choose to relate to this situation? We can get caught up in that consensus reality, and we'll know how we're doing by how we are having a conversation about it. Where people are having a conversation about it and it's bringing us down, we need to off of that and get into a new reality for ourselves that brings us up. And a declaration that we get to tell ourselves called, I'm making the best of it. I'm making this happen. I'm having a great life. I'm making such strides in what I'm up to. And again, you're telling yourself the truth in advance, and then you're taking action to go out and create that truth. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Remember this always. Until next time, live the life you love and love the life you live. Bye now.